Please be advised we are speaking in our own individual capacities and not representing any companies we may work for.
We are not your lawyers, and any information given during this podcast does not constitute as legal advice and is for entertainment and educational purposes only. Enjoy the episode.
Hi guys, welcome back to Girls Gone Legal. We are so excited to have you today. We are unfortunately missing Katie, sadly. She is still filming a movie, which will be so exciting, so watch it when it's out. I'm not sure what it's about yet. I'll have to ask her. But in the meantime, we have another guest co-host, Melissa Rocco.
Hello.
We are so excited to have her today. Melissa was my mentor in law school, so it's funny. Katie is my mentee. Melissa is my mentor. So we're kind of all in a row. And see, you never know where you're going to end up. Do your mentorship programs because you could become good friends and start a podcast and be guest co-hosts. You never know.
Yeah, look at us.
I never thought when we met we'd be sitting like in a studio talking.
Years later.
Yeah,
that was
funny?
like 4 years ago.
I know.
So crazy.
It's crazy. Time flies by. So definitely...
get involved.
Be friends. Yeah. Be friends with your mentors and mentees. But let me read a quick bio so you guys get to know Melissa a little bit. Melissa is a 2023 graduate of New York Law School who served as president of the Latin American Law Students Association and entertainment chair of the Media, Entertainment, and Fashion Law Association. Fun fact, I was also entertainment co-chair and Katie was also entertainment co-chair. All right in a row. Melissa graduated with her certificate from the Center for Real Estate Studies, and at her commencement ceremony, she was awarded the Dean's Leadership Award for the class of 2023. Wow, that's so amazing. Yeah. I don't know if I knew that.
Graduation was like the best day of my life.
Yeah. Oh my God. You were thriving. I remember you were thriving.
I'll never forget that feeling. I felt like I won the World Series. Like I was on cloud. I was floating. I wasn't walking. I was floating.
That was it. That was like the end goal.
I blacked out. I don't even remember I just remember feeling crazy.
So you're working 3 years for this one goal, right? You just want to graduate.
It so bad.
You want it so bad. And you get there and you're like, this is, I feel like with me, I'm like, I can't believe that even happened.
I know.
Sometimes I'm like, damn, I graduated law school.
We did that. I know.
It doesn't feel real.
I know.
All right. Melissa has experience in several types of law, including healthcare, corporate law, real estate, trusts and estates, in-house counsel, sports law, and entertainment law. So you got your foot in the door with a bunch.
Oh my God, I tried everything.
Which is important because you never know. You want to see what you like. Melissa earned her bachelor's degree in 2019 and her master's in 2020 from St. John's University in a 5-year combined degree program from international communications with a focus in public relations and advertising. Wow.
Yeah. I thought I was going to work in PR and like advertising.
Do you know I minored in PR and I loved it? And I think that's what got me into like the entertainment world.
Me too.
I think that's what I loved about it.
No, it makes complete sense.
Yeah.
The PR to law school pipeline.
Yeah,
we got to talk about that.
Yeah, we'll have to definitely talk about that. And Melissa is now an associate at Schwartz Sladkis?
Yeah.
Did I say it right?
Yeah. We all just say SSRGA. Schwartz, Slakis, Reich, Greenberg, Atlas.
Okay.
Yeah.
LLP.
LLP.
LLP at the end. I feel like all the law firms, they have very, very long names.
Oh,
I know I worked at one that had an extremely long name. And they were like, in the interview process, they're going to test you on how to pronounce the name. And I was like, oh, God. So I just sat there like saying it out loud for so long.
And then you become more nervous about that than your resume.
Yeah, I'm like worried about how to pronounce the name at this point. But no, it's definitely a respect thing too. Obviously, you want to pronounce things correctly.
Of course.
That's why it's always good to ask if you don't know. All right, so let's introduce or give a quick bio of our guest today. All right, so we want to welcome the guest for today, Paul M. Aloise Jr. Esquire. He joined Rubin Rubin as a shareholder in 2024 after working as a trial attorney at a prominent Tallahassee firm, practicing both civil law and criminal defense for 4 years. Prior to his work in the private sector, Paul honed his skills as a trial attorney while working as a felony prosecutor in the 2nd and 15th Judicial Circuits of Florida for over 3 years. Paul has taken over 50 cases to trial and has had jury trial victories in 4 different circuits: the 2nd, the 14th, the 15th, and the 19th. That's so impressive.
Yep.
In 2022, Paul was lead counsel for a false arrest/false imprisonment civil jury trial against the Leon County Sheriff's Office, in which a verdict was rendered in his client's favor for over $250,000. This verdict earned a spot on the 2023 Top 100 Jury Verdicts for Civil Rights in the United States for 2022 by TopVerdicts.com. Paul has continuously been recognized as a Super Lawyers Florida Rising Star in both criminal defense and entertainment and sports law, along with being named as a National Trial Lawyers Top 40 Under 40 for criminal defense continuously from 2020 to today. Paul focuses his practice in the areas of criminal defense and civil litigation, with an emphasis on personal injury, breach of contract, sexual assault, sexual harassment, negligent security, wrongful termination, racial and disability discrimination, civil injunctions, such as restraining orders, and sports and entertainment law. So Paul really has
so much experience.
such great experience in really every aspect. So if you are in law school or you don't know what to do, you're just coming out of law school and you're interested in a bunch of things, this is the episode to listen to because Paul has experience in just about everything you could think of. In the field of sports and entertainment law, Paul has worked with NFL Hall of Famers, Grammy-nominated producers, platinum-selling musical artists, Netflix stars, and multiple social media influencers with over 1 million followers on Instagram. In addition to working as an attorney, Paul worked as an NFLPA Certified Contract Advisor, so an NFL agent, from 2018 to 2024. During this time, Paul negotiated 27 NFL contracts with 13 different NFL teams, which is highly impressive. So we want to welcome Paul, and we think this is going to be a great episode.
Definitely.
All right, well, let's welcome Paul and Melissa. We are so excited to have everybody joining us today. So, Paul, I kind of just want to get right into it. I know you have, your foot in the door with a little bit of everything: sports, entertainment, litigation. So, I guess my first question for you is: you've tried over 50 cases and had a jury trial win across 4 different Florida circuits. How did your time as a prosecutor shape your skills and mindset as a trial attorney?
Well, I think coming out of law school, as you guys know, we learn what the law is and we learn generally how the court systems work. But ultimately, you don't really get a lot of firsthand trial experience. And so, the only time I really got that was with the mock trial program at Florida State that I was a member of the team over there. So being a prosecutor made me go into court basically every single day and really just make it second nature. So, I got very comfortable having to be in multiple courtrooms. I prosecuted in both the 15th and 2nd Judicial Circuits. So already at a young, age in my career, I had experience practicing in front of different judges and just having a variety of cases thrown at me, sometimes just days before trial or days before jury selection. So I think just that experience made it an easy transition into the private sector, and then feeling comfortable going into different circuits, new courthouses, and being in front of new judges.
Yeah, and to go off of that, because you were just saying sometimes it's handed to you days before, and there's a lot of volume, a lot of information. I'm sure you know, Melissa. How do you mentally prepare for high pressure jury trials where there's so much on the line?
I think my sports background helped me a lot with that. I've never, and I don't mean this like in a cockily, but I've never felt a lot of stress or pressure from it. I really get excited about the opportunity to help someone. I get excited about the opportunity to go out there and perform for them because they're trusting us, right? Though they are the aggrieved party, whether it's a defendant in a criminal case or a plaintiff in a personal injury case, they're trusting us to be that voice for them. And so, Jimbo Fisher used to tell us in college when I was playing football at Florida State, hey, use those nerves as excitement. And so I think that's just kind of what I translated into the legal field. And, obviously it's not a game. Obviously there's a lot more at risk, but I think me approaching it in the similar manner that I did college sports allows me to kind of block out the noise, just like we would block out the fans or the other team right inside a stadium, and just really focus at the task at hand.
It's very true. And I think one of the partners at my job put it best. Our industry feels like you put out one fire and you turn your head, another fire pops up. You just have to be adaptable and handle whatever's right in front of you at the moment.
Yeah.
Couldn't agree more.
I think when I was taking the bar exam, instead of thinking about all the pressure and all the background noise of it, I was like, I'm just going to get excited to take it. No one's excited to take the bar exam.
That's how you have to think about it.
I had to make myself excited to take it because if I'm like, oh, another week of studying, oh, another week, 5 days before the exam and I'm so nervous and I'm working myself up, that's how, you fail. And
that's how my dad tells me to think about it.
Yeah. So it's just you got to amp yourself up and get yourself ready to get into something. Sometimes fake it till you make it a little bit. And then eventually you'll just be doing good. And you're like, wow, I got through that.
Couldn't agree more.
Yeah. No, that's so interesting. So, you've been in the transactional side and you've been a prosecutor. What do you enjoy doing more, I guess? I don't know. That's kind of a hard
I've always
question.
said this. I mean, a lot of the former prosecutors I used to work with, especially some of my chiefs who are like, 20-year prosecutors, they'll text me after I come into court, hey, when you coming back, right? I think at my core, because I love trial work so much, that being a prosecutor, right? Or I guess at the public defender's office, right? I didn't work there personally, but either of those two jobs, I think, are really at my core what I love the most about law. But at the same time, as much as I loved prosecuting, when you're prosecuting in the state of Florida, absent very, very, very small, circumstances, you're not allowed to practice any other areas of law. And so that's where my drive and love for these other areas of law, such as employment law, such as sports entertainment law, such as personal injury, that balancing act is just something that I didn't want to give up that opportunity of being in the private sector and having the ability to try other cases. But at my core, I love being in the courtroom. I love trying criminal cases. And I joke with clients, I joke with current and former prosecutors that, like, hey, give me a file, give me a case, and I can go argue it on either side, right? And I think that that's very important for when I am prepping my client for trial, or he or she are trying to determine whether or not they're going to accept a plea. Because there's times I've had clients, unfortunately, sometimes maybe not think as rational as I would like them to. And so when I'm advising them, hey, listen, I really think you should take this plea, and this is why. And sometimes when that conversation just isn't getting through to them, I say, okay, you know what? Hold on. Let me give you an example of what I would say if I was prosecuting this case in an opening statement or a closing argument. And then a lot of times when they see and feel and hear that switch, it gets them to understand, okay, you know what? Maybe the evidence against me is a little stronger than I thought.
Yeah. No, that's really interesting. I mean, I know for a while, going back to like the transactional like litigation, I wanted to do transactional for so long. That's all.
Me too.
Yeah, like in law school,
Me
like
too.
transactional, like that's all that came out of my mouth. But then I ended up clerking. I had a judicial clerkship, which I just finished a few weeks ago. And I enjoyed my clerkship so much that I was like, I see myself in the courtroom. I know there's a lot of people that go through law school. They're like, I never want to step foot in a courtroom. What you think, like,
my first time stepping foot in the courtroom, I was the attorney. I have never even gotten a traffic ticket in my life. And I was thrown in front of a judge. I took all transactional classes in law school. I got thrown into a department where I started having to do litigation work. And now looking back, I wish I took those trial classes that I didn't take. And I think that's what we do. You just kind of get thrown into it. It's like as a kid, you get pushed in the pool and you learn how to swim. That's how I learned.
Yeah. No, definitely. And so now I'm kind of like in the transition stage, like, am I going to do litigation? Am I going to do transactional? So that's why I really find it interesting that you've got like your foot in the door for both. So
no, I appreciate it. And the one thing I will say, I don't know how it is up in New York, but at least down here in Florida, right? Absent a few judges, or unless we're at like the eve of trial, for civil cases, everything's being held via Zoom, right? All of our uniform case managements are all via Zoom, right? So, I mean, there's a couple judges that still hold some important hearings in person. Oh, really?
In Florida, it's still online.
Yeah, and that's why if I didn't do criminal right now, I would not see the inside of a courtroom, really. And that's like the number one thing I'd tell everyone is, like, if you want to be in the courtroom right now in Florida, ever since COVID, the civil world just really doesn't have it happening anymore.
Yeah, I could say for Jersey, because that's where I was clerking, a lot of it is remote, a lot.
Really?
Yeah, and I was in the civil division.
Yeah.
I mean, there are some hearings that, and it depends on the judge. Every chambers is different. But there are some hearings that are just strictly remote. So
New York, I've been all over. I've hit, all the 5 counties, Suffolk, Nassau, Westchester. I think that's as far as I've gone so far, but
mostly everything's been in person.
Everything's in person. Yeah.
No, I think being in person is better. I mean, just from being a law clerk on that side of it, not being on the attorney side of it, like you got to set up the Zooms, and then no one can hear, and then we lost the litigant. The litigant's no longer in the waiting room. Like, it's by the time we start, it's 20 minutes later sometimes, just with trying to get everyone together. So in person, I definitely like, but
I love the feel of in person. You walk in and everyone's dressed up. You just feel the vibe in the room. I love it.
You feel like you're in it.
I feel like a real lawyer. I don't feel like a little kid. Like the imposter syndrome goes away. Like this is the real deal.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But you just had mentioned criminals, so I kind of wanted to get into like the criminal side. What is one case that stands out as a turning point for you in your criminal defense practice that you can share with us?
Well, I can give you an example first as a prosecutor and then as a defense attorney.
Okay.
So right when I did I don't know if you guys have it up there, but it's called a certified legal internship. So while you're in law school, you can go work either at the state attorney's office or the public defender's office and literally have an entire caseload, pick juries, do a full jury trial, like literally work the entire summer as if you were a barred prosecutor or barred public defender. Only caveat is you have to have a bar card in the courtroom with you at all times. So the summer before my 3L year, I did that at the state attorney's office down here in the 19th Circuit, did 4 jury trials, really felt like I was ready to go. And then right when I took and accepted my job at the 19th Circuit state attorney's office in Palm Beach, in the 15th Circuit in Palm Beach, I was assigned to the juvenile division. And in the juvenile division, there's no juries. Everything is from the bench, right, with the judge. So right away, that challenged me to have to change kind of what I thought I was going to be doing on a week-to-week basis, because now I had to get better at filing motions ahead of time, right? Having oral arguments to the judge as opposed to just litigating back and forth with an opposing counsel. And then while I was in the juvenile division, I was assigned to Danielle Bergoli's case, who is the Catch Me Outside girl, bad baby. And so at the time, I was actually the prosecutor handling all of the cases that she had appeared on Dr. Phil on. So I very quickly had to learn how to deal with a high profile media case. All of her attorneys were very well established attorneys in the Palm Beach community who had represented a lot of other high profile individuals. So early on in my career as a prosecutor, I was thrust into the spotlight handling these cases where I'm rolling in there, again, not in front of a jury, just to have a discussion with the judge about, what's going on with the case. But there might be 30 cameras in there. All her security guards are in there. Because, at this time, she's already blown up. She is super famous at this point. So I think that got me ready to be in the private sector and understand how to move when I'm representing some of my high profile clients as well. So I would say working that case, I think I was probably 25 years old, 26 years old working that case. So that just gave me a world of experience that I didn't even understand I needed to learn at the time. And then on the criminal defense side, I would honestly say that there's 2 cases. My very first trial as a defense attorney was a felony DUI trial. And though I felt very confident when I reviewed that probable cause affidavit signing up this client that we would be successful in trial, because I had seen all these arguments being made against me when I was a prosecutor, it's still, the reality of it didn't hit me until, I finished closing arguments, the jury went back to deliberate, and my client's wife looked at me and said, I don't want to drive home alone tonight. And now that pressure's put on me, right? And I'm like, well, I did everything I could. And luckily, we were able to get that not guilty verdict, but he was facing prison time. He scored prison. So had we lost that trial, not only would he have been sentenced, which obviously is terrible, the last thing a criminal defense attorney ever wants, but also his wife would have had to drive home alone that night. And it was a couple hours away. And so that one changed my view of, because as a prosecutor, you don't really have clients. You're representing the state. And so that was one of my first examples of dealing with a client that kind of changed my view. And then I had a murder trial earlier this year, and it took 4 years to get there. And again, I'd gotten so close with him, so close with his girlfriend, so close with his brother, so close with his family, that after that case ended, and then everyone just goes their separate ways. It's just kind of a surreal feeling because you go through such a traumatic, serious, emotional event together, and then the case is done and everyone just has to kind of split off. And it's much more emotional than I think I ever would have thought it would have been when I was in law school or even, early on in my career prosecuting.
Definitely, because it becomes real. Very real when it's right in front of you. But what an awesome experience being 25 years old and you got put on bad baby's case. Very cool. Very cool.
Yeah, no, and to go back to that case as well, you definitely, I think it's important to adapt in this career. You have to be able to adapt quickly. So you were able to, even at 25, I'm sure you were just out of law school, just adapting quickly to something that's thrown your way.
100%.
And I think in this profession, that's going to happen a lot, especially as you're a new attorney and maybe you're changing a job or maybe you're changing the area of law. And then to go to the criminal defense side, I think that it's extremely hard emotionally. And I'm sure a lot of people can't go or don't want to go into criminal law because of that. You're dealing with all these intense emotions, and then just one day it's like, okay, case is over. Like, just,
Exactly.
That's the end of it. Yeah.
Yeah. So like, it's definitely hard. You definitely have to have like a certain mindset for it. And I think you definitely have an advantage because you have been a prosecutor and you've been on the criminal defense. So if you're prosecuting, how like the defense side's coming at you. And if you're defending, how the prosecutor's coming at you, which I think is so important because people always tell me like, oh, I wanted to go to like law school. I've always thought about it. I love to argue. I hate go to law school. That. And I'm like, yeah, I hate it too because I'm like, that's not just everything. I mean, obviously, you have to have good arguments, but it's not everything you're doing. And on top of it, you need to be able to see, and I think I've mentioned this in other episodes, you have to be able to see like how your opponent, your opposing counsel is going to come at you. So you're ready for it and you can give a good argument, not just I'm right and this, and this, and then all of a sudden they hit you with something and you're like, well, I don't have an answer for that one, So
right. Also, it depends what case law is out there. You may think of an argument that works, and then how many times does that happen? You've been assigned by a partner to do research, find the case law that says this. It doesn't exist.
Yeah.
Nothing you can do about it.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Exactly.
So
no, I also really, really hate when people, my son, my daughter, they want to go to law school. You should talk to them. They love to argue. And I always say the same thing. I'm like, well, that's great. But a lot of times it's about communicating effectively with other people and trying to find some middle ground. And I think even my brother said it to me the first time he came and watched me in trial. He's like, wow, you're a lot more calm in there than I was expecting. I'm like, what do you expect me to be doing in there? We're not around the Italian family dinner table arguing over movies, right? Like I'm in front of a jury. Like I have to be professional in here.
You're talking to the right people.
Yeah, no, it's definitely because I have Sunday dinner every Sunday with the Italian family around the table. Our normal talking is yelling.
Screaming.
I'm like, why are we yelling at each other? Sometimes I shut the slider door in my kitchen because I'm like, the whole neighborhood can hear us right now.
When you're at a restaurant, you're out in public.
Yeah. I'm like, always tell my mom, I go,
everyone settle down.
And she goes, Nicole, don't tell me to I'm like, oh no, here we go. But it's definitely a different type of argument in court.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But I want to go back because I know a lot of our audience, they're really into entertainment law. So I kind of want to go back. You had the case with the Catch Me Outside girls. So kind of to get into that area, sports and entertainment area of the law, because you were an NFL agent for a while. And you've worked at the NFL Hall of Famers, Grammy-nominated artists. So what kind of attracted you into the sports and entertainment world?
So when I first moved down to Florida, because I'm originally from Boston, when I first moved down to Florida, my first little league coach is this individual by the name of Mark Rogers. And he got very famous for representing Russell Wilson, who's obviously, Super Bowl winning NFL quarterback. But when I was like 8, 9 years old, at that time, he was only representing Major League Baseball players, right? And Russell Wilson played both baseball and football. That's kind of how he made the conversion over. But so I would be at practice and he would be bringing these professional baseball players to our practices. And one of them was Mike Hampton, who had just signed like $100 million deal in maybe 02, 03, which back then was, I think, the largest contract ever for a pitcher. And so that was just something where I was like, as a little kid, I'm like, oh my God, like that's what I want to do. And then just, I would say there's different checkpoints throughout my life that just kind of reaffirm that. I mean, I got very lucky, playing football at Florida State during the time period that I did. I was a backup on the 2013 BCS national championship team. So everyone around me was a superstar athlete, right? I mean, we had Jameis Winston who won the Heisman. And, during that year, there was just media covering us and in particular Jameis every single day. I mean, when we would be walking to practice, we'd have to have security guards walk us there because of all the fans and all the media that were trying to get access to Jameis and some of the other high profile players. Not me, of course, right? But the other high profile players.
No, you too.
But so like just that was again another opportunity for me to kind of see and feel that lifestyle. And then honestly, unfortunately, seeing some of the pitfalls that some of those star athletes had in between that time when, because after we won on January 6, 2014, I started law school that fall in August, right? And everyone else kind of went on to the NFL. Maybe they had a year of eligibility left. But so by the time I got done with law school, I had seen some players ascend to greatness, and I had seen some other players either have off the field issues, whether it be criminal or civil, right? But also have problems with their agents, have problems with their representation. And so again, that was just another way of pointing me in that direction of like, all right, you understand athletes. You are a former athlete. You've seen the best of the best. You've seen the worst of these horror stories of what these athletes go through. So it was just really my goal as I finished out law school and then took the bar exam was at some point, I want to transition into a role where I can truly help these athletes. And then just there was the overlap between the athletes and the entertainment industry. And so once my name started getting out there with some of these professional football players, very soon thereafter, some of their friends who might be singers, rappers, actresses, models, things like that, they started reaching out to me to help them with contract negotiation and things of that sort.
Yeah.
And what prime years to be in college. Prime years. I mean, you started seeing social media kick off. Media was going in a direction it hadn't before. I think that's like an excellent time to be in college if you have to be in one. And especially going into the industry. Yeah.
Yeah, no, and I think it's really important that you had that background in football because, players are going to want to be represented. I mean, I'm not a football player, but if I was, I would like to be represented by someone who knows the industry, has been in it.
Definitely.
Like you said, kind of like the backdoor stuff and what they're going through. So I think that definitely probably helped, and it probably gave you a good advantage just to be able to like talk to the players too, because you've been through it. But no, I find that so interesting. And so you negotiated 27 NFL contracts. Can you kind of just give a timeline? This is a twofold question. When you became an NFL agent, when you ended, and then maybe just share one of the favorite contracts that you negotiated, and if you could share the player.
Yeah, for sure. So right coming out of law school, I went to prosecute first down in Palm Beach in the 15th Judicial Circuit, and they actually prohibited me from practicing as an NFL agent at that time, or really doing any agent work, right? And so at the time, I had my MLB agent license, and I had been doing some marketing for my former Florida State teammates that were now in the NFL, autograph signings, whether private or public, camps, speaking engagements, things like that. But I was like, okay, if they don't want me to do that, and I want to become this trial attorney, right? Let me go focus on being a prosecutor for the first year and a half. So that's what I did. So I graduated a semester early in December of 2016. All 2017 worked as a prosecutor. And then I believe I took the exam early 2018 and then found out that I passed the exam around August of 2018. And so I then worked as an NFLPA agent from later on that year in 2018 until I started here at Rubin Rubin in January of 2024. So it's about 5-6 years I worked as an NFL agent. And during that, and so when I transferred back up to Tallahassee, right, so I did undergrad at Florida State, I did law school at Florida State. And then after prosecuting down here for 2 years, while I loved the office down in Palm Beach and I loved the state attorney at the time was Dave Ehrenberg, because everyone loved the office, all of the higher ranked prosecutors and chiefs, they weren't leaving the office. So if I wanted to go get the experience that I wanted to, I had to go to a different office. And so I was like, all right, well, I have a lot of these connections and relationships in Tallahassee. Let me go back up there, right? And so as soon as I went back up there, the state attorney up there, Jack Campbell, he did allow me to run my sports agency. Obviously, I had to do it off state attorney time, right? I couldn't do it while I was working for the state attorney. I have to be at lunch, nights, weekends. And I was prohibited from touching any athletes who played at Florida State who might have been arrested, right? So I couldn't touch their cases, right? So Jack Campbell really worked with me to allow me to have this opportunity to pursue my dream of being an NFL agent while still, on Monday picking a jury for an attempted murder case, right? So I love that stuff. But I would say probably my first contract, again, was probably my favorite. His name was Devontae Jackson. So, breaking into that industry, everyone wants to sign with Drew Rosenhaus. Everyone wants to sign with CAA. And so I was like, okay, I know I can't go sign a first round pick, right? I know I don't have the money, right, to help a first round pick get from January until the end of April when the draft is over. And I'd say one thing that most people don't know is that agents have to fund these players training, food, sometimes cell phone bills, sometimes car bills, sometimes maybe their family's bills.
Yep, hotels, travel, airlines.
Exactly. I always joked I was more of a glorified travel agent than even like a sports agent, right? I'd be booking flights for everyone, for their moms or sisters or dads to fly out. But so I also didn't have the money to compete on a prosecutor salary with these big time sports agencies. So I focused on a player that I thought had the ability to get to the NFL. And he was a D2 player, Devontae Jackson. And, you know, we worked together. He trusted me. His coaching staff trusted me. And we got him signed to the Denver Broncos as a high priority free agent. And after he got signed, one of his other teammates who had a different agent during the draft process, he saw that I was getting these marketing and branding and endorsement deals for Devontae. And his name is Malik Henry. And Malik Henry actually fired his agent and signed with me. So I went from, say, in March or April having 0 NFL clients to in May and June having 2 NFL players, like in my first full year as an agent. So I would say that is those 2 guys really set me off on my career trajectory. And then that following year, another former teammate of theirs who was still in college, I went to watch him play. His name was John Hurst. And John Hurst actually ended up making the 53-man roster out of the gate for the Tampa Bay Bucks that year, the year they won the Super Bowl. And so he was playing with Tom Brady, right? So, I mean, very quickly after I found this D2 program, you know, University of West Georgia, where many people might say, oh, these guys aren't going to make the NFL. Well, I had 3 guys in about a year span make the NFL from the D2 level. So that was always one of my favorite stories. Being a walk-on at Florida State, you know, being a backup, having to work my tail off day in and day out. I then got to watch those guys do it.
Yeah, no, that's really interesting and that's amazing. And all it takes is one, right? One player, and it's kind of a domino effect. Then another player came, you were just hustling. So it all comes together. But no, that's really interesting.
I also have to give my kudos to the higher up who let you kind of work on your lunch hour and off, like on your time off, and do what you really wanted to do. Because there are some people that would prevent you from doing that. Definitely.
Oh yeah. No, absolutely. I'm very blessed for that. And then even in the private sector, I mean, when I was getting ready to leave the state attorney's office, that was a big thing. There were certain firms that weren't going to let me run my sports agency. And guess what? I respect that, right? Like that's their business model. Like I respect that. I'm not the right guy for that opportunity at that time.
Yeah, Katie and I talk a lot about being able to handle a bunch of different things. I mean, Katie was just filming a movie. That's why she's not here today. And she's in law school and she has this podcast and she's doing a bunch of stuff. I'm doing a bunch of things. I just started a brand. Like I'm doing the podcast. I'm interviewing for jobs in the legal area. So to hear that you were able to work as a state attorney and then run a sports agency, I mean, that just kind of ties in everything that we talk about. You're able to do things that you really enjoy and that you love and you're passionate about, but still do other things as well. It's not impossible. You know, it's hard, but it's not impossible. And if you have like the right mindset and you stay organized and you hustle, it can get done. But I just have a question. Did you ever sleep? Because like when were you working? Like not working?
Yeah, no, I didn't sleep a lot. All my friends still joke with me today. Like everyone knows I'm a night owl. Like I like working late. If I get home or I go hit the gym, cook dinner late, I'm gonna log back in and get some stuff done. I always credit that to the sports life, right? Like you just talked about, you know, being able to be organized, right? And I would say within organization, time management, right?
Yep.
I mean, as a collegiate athlete, I'd have 6 a.m. workouts. I'd have all my classes between 8 a.m. and noon. Then after noon, I'd have to go eat lunch. Then we got to watch film. Then we got to go to practice. And then practice would get done. All right, I got to go to my LSAT prep. That's some hotel on Appalachian Parkway with test masters, right?
It's always
at
hotels.
And then I got to start it all over again, right? So like I'm kind of used to it. So I can't take all the credit for that. I got to give it to, you know, just my upbringing and my parents and my coaches and keeping me on a good path. And that's just kind of the work ethic I've always had. But
I relate to that
as I got
completely.
older, I started to realize that people did look at me crazy for not sleeping or, you know, having a Red Bull every other day while at work or on the way to court. But, you know, I enjoy it.
I also like hearing about the many hats that these agents wear, because you think you're just negotiating these big deals, but there's so much more that goes into it. And I was an intern one semester for an NFL agent, and at the time I was receiving law school credit, and they made me, my law school would make me write summaries of what I did and relate it to the legal industry. I was on Expedia looking up flights. I was on Resi making reservations. I was looking at hotels. Yeah. Every week I remember writing like conducted legal research. It's just what I would call it.
Yeah. Conducted legal research. What hotel in New York?
Yeah, exactly. Best reservation for a group of 20.
It's so true. It's so true. Well, on that point about the agent wearing all the hats, right? I would say one of the things too that I learned kind of at the end of obviously during the agent career, but then after I got done and being on the sports and entertainment legal side, is as much as the most fun parts, like you said, are signing those deals, whether it's with a third party company, Powerade, Gatorade, whatever it might be, an autograph card deal, or obviously the league contracts. It's really protecting their rights, right? And that's where having the law school background comes in, because they're under their collective bargaining agreement. I mean, if you don't know how to ensure that they're getting credited seasons, right, and that set them up for pensions and setting them up for benefits and health benefits for life potentially. Those are all the things that sometimes get lost in the shuffle. And obviously, you know, the show Ballers, they don't cover any of that stuff, right? But that is how you can really make an impact on these athletes' lives, because they're 20, 21, 22. They don't understand the benefit of having, you know, healthcare for life, right? They don't understand having a pension potentially for life. But us, we have to implement that upon them and get them to understand how important that stuff is.
Definitely.
Yeah. And that was actually going into one of my next questions was, how do you ensure your clients stay protected legally while they chase fame, fortune, or athletic success? Because like you said, these are 22-year-olds. I mean, even in like the creative, like entertainment industry, people are 18 years old and like blowing up on TikTok. And so when you have clients, how do you kind of stay on top of them while they're going through their, I guess, career, just starting out?
I mean, obviously, I think it depends on the client, right? I've definitely had certain clients who are much more receptive to my advice. I've had other clients who are not receptive whatsoever to my advice, right? I mean, I have had clients who are extremely well educated, have great support systems around them, wife, parents, you know, kids, cousins, everything. And I'd be like, okay, like they're gonna work with this money properly. And I would tell them, hey, I don't think you should do this. And then I would speak to their financial advisor. Hey, I just so you know, I've told that this is what he's telling. I really don't think he should be doing this. And everyone talks, okay, yeah, I don't think he's going to be doing it. And then he goes out and buys, you know, a luxury car for himself, his wife, his mother. And it's like, dude, yeah, you have that money right now. But if in a year you get cut from that team, that water, that well shuts off, and that money stops rolling in. So I try to tell each of my clients war stories from players that I played with who unfortunately went through trials and tribulations, but then also talk to them about just, especially when I was still doing the agent work and I was in my 20s. And if it was a male football player, right? And I've been lucky enough to represent, you know, women who are professional Peloton riders, right? And so I have to change my conversation with them. But when it's a young male athlete, I would tell them like, dude, I was just in your shoes like 5-6 years ago. Yeah. Like, I'm telling you, it sounds good, but please don't do this. Like, why would I be telling you this? It doesn't benefit me to tell you this. It doesn't, like, I'm getting no financial gain from this. I'm telling you because I care about you. And I was also a dumb 21-year-old male thinking he was on top of the world playing sports. Like, please listen to me. So you can try, but what I would just say is I don't think there's any like foolproof way to do it. There's not a guarantee that they're going to listen. I mean, hearing and listening are two different things, right? They might hear me talking, but they're not actually taking it in and listening. So I just sit there. And I really do, though. I always break it down to a very human level. And just like how we're trained in law school, right, during jury selection and opening statements or closing arguments, you don't want to use all these fancy words. And just talk to them as regular people. And that's what I try to do. I'm like, dude, I don't care who you are. I don't care how much money is in your bank account. Like, let me talk to you about how real life is and how quickly, you know, the fame and fortune can disappear like that. And you're sitting in the courtroom being convicted of a crime or being sued or being sought after for child support from this woman, right? I mean, I've seen it all. And so I try to impart those war stories on them, but I don't think it's going to ever be me that changes their mind. I think it has to be their support system around them.
Yep.
Yeah. No,
it's
definitely.
so important to think long term. But I get it because they're 21 and they have the world at their fingertips. And if I came into money like that, I don't know what I would do. But as long as you have a support group around you, I agree.
No, it's definitely better to be smart than to learn the hard way.
Yeah.
So, Paul, you being there for those players is so important because, maybe their support system or they don't have people in their lives to tell them those things, because sometimes people around, like maybe a friend gets excited too and is like, all right, like, let's go live this crazy life.
Like that, yeah.
So
definitely.
And not like
Cloud chasers?
Yeah, but and like not like maliciously, like just because it's like an exciting, and their support system might be a 21-year-old too. You don't know. Everyone's lives are different. So I think that's really great that you advocate for them and you talk to them as if you're saying I care for you, like as a person. So, yeah.
Yeah,
really
it sounds
important.
like you speak to them as a friend, and especially using your firsthand experience. I think that would make people a lot more receptive to what you have to say as well.
Yeah, definitely. Something I actually wanted to go back to because I remember what I was going to say earlier was I played soccer growing up. I didn't play in college. I went to go play at a D3 school. I went through preseason, and then I was like, this is not for me, transferred schools. But besides that, playing a sport my whole life, pretty much, like growing up, I was on such a schedule.
Oh, yeah,
So when
me too.
I wanted to go back to talking about how like you were like, all right, you watched film, then it's practice, then you eat, then you're up late working. I feel like I work best at night because of that, because it was school.
I agree with that
a
too.
tournament.
Yeah.
Like, okay, I want to get my schoolwork done. It's got to be either right before my game or like finish after my game. Like always had a regimented schedule. And when I was working, in my judicial clerkship, I was talking to a lot of people, and even my mom had sent me a meme. They said that athletes, I don't know how true it is, but I do believe it to a certain extent, are like the CEOs. They become so successful running companies, running businesses because they know how to manage a million things at once and keep it to a schedule, right?
Yeah, I agree completely.
I feel like that kind of goes back to you, Paul. Like you were an athlete growing up. You played football in college. Like you're able to keep that regimented schedule. So I don't know if you're in the audience and you're an athlete or you're in high school right now in college playing a sport, like take this into consideration.
But even now, I'm 28 and I think about having a family one day. I think about how important it is to put your kids, get them involved in being
100%. That's a sport itself.
Yeah, you learn
I'm not a
about
mom yet,
I
but
know.
I can.
I'm not there yet.
I know from seeing my mom with me, I'm definitely
driving
a
here
sport
and
for
there.
her because she puts up with a lot.
But
with
as a
me.
kid, you learn how to work on a team. You learn responsibility.
Exactly.
You learn so much from being involved in sports.
Exactly.
I agree.
Even if you're like in musicals and plays, you got to go rehearse. And Katie grew up being an actress, so
very cool.
Yeah. What is another question I'm very interested in is what is one case that you really enjoyed working in the entertainment industry, and what are kind of like some people that you have worked with?
Yeah. So I would say probably my favorite case I worked on in the entertainment industry was one on behalf of Turk. He's one of the original members of the Hot Boys with Lil Wayne, Juvenile, BG, Manny Fresh, Birdman. So obviously, like me growing up, that was the music I listened to, right? These are the guys that I used to put on music videos to while getting ready to go out, getting ready for a fun weekend.
Have your headphones in, walking out.
Exactly. And so for years later, for them to reach out to me to help them with an issue, I was blown away. I was making sure it wasn't like someone else, spamming me, right? I wanted to make sure this was really the person that was reaching out to me. But it was a copyright infringement claim against French Montana. And there's a TMZ article that I think is still out there if you look it up. But there was some lyrics from one of the Hot Boys' famous songs, right? I Need a Hot Girl. And in the chorus of that was ripped and used by French Montana in one of his songs. And so here I am, right? A young attorney trying to get my name out there, having a huge passion for this industry, but also, not knowing everything about the industry. So I used some of the resources that I had from Bad Baby one of her managers that I connected with while working her case. He was a big time music manager. And before I was going to put together a demand package and offer a settlement amount, I wanted to speak to someone who had worked in the industry for years, who had been extremely successful, and say, hey, this is kind of where it peaked on the charts. Like, how much revenue do you anticipate, a song like this doing? And then ultimately, all right, we have, 4 or 5 writers from the original song. There's going to be a pro rata split. So I'm like learning all this new language. I'm learning all these new data sources to go to, right? It's not, we can't really find that stuff on Lexis and Westlaw back then, right? Now with AI, it's a little bit different. But back then I was like, what do I do? How do I find out like this important information to be able to guide my client? So right there, like that was a life-changing moment for me, working with a musical artist who was, had sold platinum, had hit platinum selling record numbers, right? Had performed with Lil Wayne, had been as big of a musical star as you can be. And now I'm working with him against French Montana and his attorney, who again at the time were very, very big in the news for all the hit songs they were putting out. And then I'm mentioning a TMZ article. Like, so that was one of those things for me again that just kind of blew my mind, that this is the life I'm living, that this is the opportunity that I have. So I want to make sure I don't blow this opportunity, right? I want to make sure I seize this for everything that it is. And then from that case, a lot of other work rolled in off of there. So I'd say that was probably one of my favorite cases I ever worked, because it really put me on the map in the musical industry.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I mean, we haven't talked too much about music on the podcast yet. So just to hear that is really cool. I mean, I know when I was in law school, we had some people come in and speak from like Sony.
I remember that. Yeah,
which
really
is
cool.
really interesting. But just to hear that kind of case and kind of, all right, you're learning new language, you're going through these motions, you're dealing with high profiled celebrities. How are you going to manage this? Because you have to manage your work, and then you have to manage, and you are good under pressure, but you have to handle the pressure of it and your work on top of it and bring it together and make sure everyone's happy too,
and
right?
Plus, you're going to be there's going to be cameras in front of your face. You're going to be in the media. He mentioned the TMZ article. Like, comes with the job.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But I'm sure it's nice to see all your hard work come together as well, because you've really been hustling. So to see it like, oh, my name's in a TMZ article, I'm doing well. Like,
That had to be cool.
No, I did. And what I would just say, seeing it come to fruition was earlier this year, they went on like a Cash Money, 30th anniversary tour. And he and his team had me out in Tampa, Florida for their show at Amalie Arena. And I was literally on stage.
Oh, so cool.
With everyone.
Oh, that's sick.
I was sitting there going like, there's no way I'm here right now. Lil Wayne is like 6 feet from me. Like Birdman's like 6 feet from me. Like, all these people performing these songs that like I said, I grew up listening to, and heck, I still listen to on the way to the gym, right? Or before a big trial. And I'm sitting there like, who would have thought that I would be here right now?
And I love that feeling. I love that feeling.
It's a sobering feeling. It's a humble, moment where you're like, wow, like this is what it's all about, right? Like helping people out. And then if you do a good job for them and you're a good person and you practice law the right way, you get some good opportunities sometimes.
I agree
in front
completely.
Yeah.
I agree. You go wake up every day and put your best foot forward. That's it.
No, that's so interesting. I mean, even when I was playing soccer, I always would have my headphones on. Back then it was these big Beats.
Oh yeah,
before,
I had those
AirPods,
too.
and I would get like all the different colors. And I would be in my car, and I wouldn't talk to anybody. Like no one. I would just have my headphones on, and I would listen. All I listened to was rap music, and I would always listen to Eminem.
Well, that's our generation.
Yeah, Eminem like pumped me up though before games. So it's kind of cool to hear like you're listening to these musical artists, and then all of a sudden now you're playing football. That time period for you is over, but now you're making the most of it, right? Because now you went into being a sports agent. You're still dealing with athletes. The artists that you were listening to going to play your sport, now you're representing them. So it's full circle moments.
That's definitely an I made it moment.
Yeah, definitely. And I think
it was. It's like I said, it's still surreal. Like I don't really sit back and think about it that way until like these moments happen, like me talking with you guys now, and it's just like, dang, it is really cool. But just like you said earlier, it's, hey, you got to go put out another fire, right? So I can reminisce on it and be excited for one day, but I'll go home and then tomorrow morning I'll have 30 new emails in my inbox and a bunch of stuff I got to handle.
Yeah, just keep moving, but enjoying it too. Like why? Because I'm sure you're passionate about that area as well because you have a background in it, which I always believe if you have a passion in something, you're going to work 10 times harder. You're not going to want to just go through the motions. So yeah. No, I find that so interesting. All right, so I think to wrap up, we're gonna do some rapid fire questions. So basically, just this or that. You can give me a one word answer if you want. But I'm just gonna go through a bunch of them. All right.
Sounds good. If you can tell, I'm pretty verbose, so it probably won't be a one-word answer. But I'll try.
And that's okay too. Criminal defense or civil litigation?
Criminal defense.
Okay. Jury trial or settlement?
Jury trial.
Jury trial.
Wow, interesting. It's
Well,
more
I
work
mean,
for you.
I guess if I'm thinking, no, I guess either which way. But I'm thinking, like, since I said criminal defense for the first answer, I'm thinking, like, all right, criminal trial or like a civil settlement. I definitely want to go. You have to perform in front of a jury to save my client's liberty.
Yeah.
Then just settle, some car accident.
Okay.
Case or something
I was thinking
like that.
civil.
And to tie that into the athlete world, the jury trial is like your Super Bowl, right?
Right.
Like
Yeah.
You're prepping. That's game day.
Yeah.
So I guess if you like performing or you like being
The pressure.
and you thrive off that, jury trials could be good too. But obviously, whatever makes your client the happiest at the end of the day.
No, but to your point, like for a civil case, right? Like if you can settle it and it's a fair settlement that compensates your client, absolutely you want to do that because you're reducing the risk for the client, right?
Yeah.
And that's what in the criminal world I tell my clients all the time, hey man, we can go to trial and whenever you want. I love trial. I said, but at the end of the day, I go home.
Yep.
You might not.
Yeah.
So you need to think about it from that perspective.
Yep.
All right, next one. Opening statement or cross-examination?
Cross-examination.
Cross-examination. I think I would pick that one too.
Yeah.
I mean, I haven't, been in the courtroom yet or
I had to bring a witness to the stand and I was alone. Like there was no mentor attorney coming with me.
Really?
Yes. When I say I got thrown into the pool, like I got thrown in.
You just
That's
did
amazing,
it.
though.
NFL contract negotiation or closing arguments in court?
Oh, definitely closing arguments in court, but closing arguments in court would probably be my selection for anything it's up against. I mean, that is, even when I was on the mock trial team in law school, like I always closed for the competitions. Like that is my favorite thing. That's the time to put up or shut up. That's what a case might have been on for 4 years, 3 years, whatever. And it all comes down to that moment. Like granted, the evidence has already been displayed and whatever we say as attorneys, the judge will always tell the jurors, what the attorneys are saying is not evidence, but we can really impact and sway and dictate how these jurors are going to interpret that evidence and how that evidence ties into the elements that we have to prove our case or, if we are on the defense side in a criminal case, what the state did not prove. So for me, that's why I became an attorney, is to be in that opportunity, in that position and having just the chance to make a difference with those closing arguments.
Yeah, and I think with closing arguments too, I mean, those are the last words you're saying to the jury, right? So if you want anything to stick with them when they go into deliberation, it is your last few words.
Exactly.
All right, next one is prosecutor mindset or defense hustle.
I don't think I could have my defense hustle without my prosecutor mindset. So I would go with the prosecutor mindset. That's what opened my door. That's what opened just my entire life in the legal field. And I had a good mentor, Tor Friedman, tell me, use sports analogy, to have the best defense, you got to know the offense. And so that's why I went to be a prosecutor, to learn that offense. And so I wouldn't even know how to hustle appropriately or how to push certain cases and have leverage without that prosecutorial mindset.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. All right, next one. Courtroom drama or behind the scenes deal making?
Behind the scenes deal making, especially for high profile clients, right? Like everyone watched the Johnny Depp and Amber Heard trial, right? Like you don't want any of that stuff coming out, right? So if you're really trying to protect your high profile clients or your average 9-to-5 worker too, right? I mean, everyone's personal life is just that, their personal private life. So if you can resolve cases behind the scenes and not have to expose information in the public courts, especially here in Florida with the sunshine laws, you can access a lot. So definitely behind the scenes.
Yeah, definitely. And you just took the Florida bar.
I did.
Yeah, you're waiting.
Congratulations.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's so exciting. And I'm taking it in February, so I'm right behind you.
Oh my God, are you?
Heck yeah, good luck. I was a February bar taker too since I graduated a semester early, stupidly. I very quickly missed all my friends and was like, I don't know why I got rushed out of there, but yeah, I was a February bar taker myself.
Yeah. I know. I hate that they have it only twice a year, though. February
I know,
and July.
I hate it so much.
I wish it was like February, July, and like October.
Every other industry, they offer their exams like once a month.
I know, right? Like every few weeks.
It's torture what they put us
quickly.
through.
Yeah.
Seriously.
No, definitely.
Well, that was my fear too with having graduated early. If I didn't pass that February bar, I would then be taking the bar in July with everybody else that just stayed for that last semester. I was like, I will look like such an idiot if I have to graduate early
and then
come back and take the bar exam with everybody else.
Hey guys, I'm back. I'm here. All right. Next one is big win in a small case or small win in a big case.
Big win in a small case, right? Because I have clients all the time that might have a small personal injury matter, right, a rear end, but sometimes recovering, the money they lost during that time period, especially if they lost a job, that might not be a big win to most people, but sometimes that changes whether or not they can pay for the food for their kids on the table that week or not.
Yeah, definitely. All right, next one is client with a great case and bad attitude, or a bad case and great attitude? That's hard.
That's a tough question. I would always rather have a client that I'm able to work with effectively, right? I think because we talk about teamwork, right? We talked about sports earlier. Yeah. At the end of the day, I tell my clients all the time, hey, we are a team in this. Mm-hmm. You likely know the facts better than anyone in this courtroom, but I know how to argue them. So I need you to work with me. And I'm always going to be, after a direct examination, a cross-examination, I'm going to say moment to confer with counsel. Really what I care about is talking to my client at the table. Is there anything else you want me to ask? So I would rather have a client that I get along with. But at the end of the day, I'm very used to working with clients who sometimes disagree with me. And I tell my clients, hey, we can disagree. That's fine. But let's get over that hump. And now let's because we both have the same goal, the same objective. So let's figure out how we can resolve that and keep moving forward.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just work together. Because you don't want any surprises either. You have to argue a case. You don't want to be like, you didn't tell me about this one,
Exactly.
So,
God, yeah.
All right, last one is NFL. Hold on, that was not a word. Netflix client or NFL client. I think I was combining NFL and Netflix together.
Just because of my love of sports, I'm going to go NFL client. But having the opportunity to work with some of these Netflix stars and see those contracts and just hear some of their war stories, right, about maybe they sold their rights to Netflix, at this stage, but then they didn't realize that their show was going to blow up. And now Netflix has the ability to go repurpose that in China, Japan, Russia, all in Europe, right, whatever country it might be in. And then that person already signed away. They don't get their rights. They don't get any residuals off of all that, right? Yeah. So I think that was a great learning experience for me, but I'm always going to pick an athlete over an entertainer. Just that's my personal preference.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
makes sense.
You came from the sport world, so that makes
exactly.
sense. That makes sense. All right. Well, I think that was all the questions for today. I thought this was such an interesting episode. I learned a lot. I mean, just seeing that you were a prosecutor, criminal defense in the entertainment industry, because I mean, even right now, I would love to be in the sport and entertainment world, but I'm kind of going into other areas of the law too. And I think just start out and get my foot in the door. So to know that you've done it all and it's possible to do it all, definitely, makes me feel better. And I'm sure people that want to go into entertainment or sports, but maybe you don't start in that, or maybe you're law school, internships or externships aren't in that right now, doesn't mean you won't end up in it, but just try your best to network and,
I also had that moment because I was I'm first generation to go to law school in my family, and I was under the impression you go to law school, you can get any job you want after. I thought I would be working for a magazine, I had all these dream jobs in my head, but there is nothing wrong with building your resume first. Exactly. Honestly, that's the way you should do it. Get the experience down and then show someone what you have to offer. I mean,
I've interned with the AG's office in New Jersey, the prosecutor's office. I interned at the courthouse, been a judicial clerk, done my entertainment externships and internships. So definitely in that area. And even when was a judicial clerkship, I always kept in contact with the entertainment industry for, legal
well, that's our
attorneys.
Passion at the end of the day.
It's the passion, right? I feel like I'm not working when I'm networking in that area because I just love it so much.
Right.
So, no, this was a great episode. Paul, I appreciate so much you coming on and talking with us today. And audience, I hope you enjoyed it.
Yeah, this was awesome. Thank you.
Thank you, ladies, for having me, and good luck in your future legal careers as well.